Inventor Henry Coanda once said, "These airplanes we have today are no more than a perfection of a child's toy made of paper." Okay, Bob, let's start working on making perfection. There are many different kinds of jets and airplanes in the world today. And Mr. Coanda was right. Many of those jets and airplanes did start as simple paper models. By building small with cheap materials, you can test many ideas very quickly to help you come to your solution. Today, we're going to practice building and testing our own designs. For this activity, you'll need several sheets of paper and maybe some tape. Any kind of paper will work, but it's important that you use the same kind for each paper airplane that you make. Our goal today is to see which design of airplane does best, not which material. You also want some paper and something to write with to keep track of your results. You can always make it neater or add it to a computer after the experiment. Alright, everybody's favorite part is design. You're coming up with ideas. You need to think about, what do you want your airplane to do? Different jets and airplanes have different wings, different styles. Even small changes can change the performance in a big way. One of my favorite websites for this activity is Fold and Fly. They have many different designs of paper airplanes, and they show you step by step what you need to do, and they give it a rating of how hard it is to build. Once you choose a style you like, you have several options. You can download and print out the directions with fold lines marked for you. You can look at regular photos in the instructions and see step by step how to make the airplane. Or if it's helpful, you can even watch the video guide, which will give you a step-by-step video to walk you through how to make the airplane. If you want to learn from the very best, John Collins has several options for you, from books to a YouTube channel with numerous videos on some of his favorite designs of paper airplanes. These 3 paper airplanes were not made by John Collins. I made these as a quick demonstration for you. And if you already know what you're going to make, you can skip past this part. But I'm going to walk you through step by step how I made each of these. Alright, the simple yellow airplane is for beginners. Start by folding a piece of paper in half. Match the corners up as best you can. We're folding it in half long ways. I'm just drawing this line so you can see the center better. Next, you want to fold the top corners in towards the center, so they make a triangle with the middle line. Do your best to make sure the corners line up evenly. With both corners folded down, you want to close your airplane and fold down a wing on each side. You can pick how far down to make it, just make sure each side matches or your airplane's going to spin out of control. When you're finished, open up your wings a little bit and try and make them even. Next up, we have the traditional dart-shaped plane. Start by folding the paper in half lengthwise. Again, try and match up your corners. Like the last plane, you're going to start by folding your corners down towards the center and get a nice firm fold. Try and match them up evenly to keep your plane from spinning out of control. A little variation I like is to fold the point back. It makes the front of the plane a little bit thicker and stronger. Next, you want to fold your sides, your angled sides, so they line up with the center line, like you see in the picture. And again, they should match up. It's a little bit tricky with a thicker paper. Just keep working at it, and you'll get it nice and smooth. When folding the wings down, I like to make the wing line even with that front corner on the flat nose. You can look at the picture to see what I mean. That's usually a good starting point. That's worked well for me, but it's your airplane. You decide where you want it. Again, the more you can match everything up, the more balanced and even, the straighter it will fly. Last for now is the glider. We're going to start by turning the paper horizontal and folding it in half horizontally. This gives you two shorter, wider sides. And like before, we'll trace that center line, and we're going to start by folding the top corners in towards the center. Once you have both corners folded down, you have a choice to make. You can copy the same steps from the dart plane and have a shorter, wider dart, or you can fold the tip down a little bit further and work on the glider. The glider we're making here will go much slower, but tends to float along after each throw. Once everything's folded down and smooth, you can fold the wings down, and I go a little bit farther down than that flat nose on the front, a little bit past the front corner. Again, make sure both sides match up. You don't want anything spinning out of control. Open the wings and your glider's ready. All right, let's get testing. When you're ready to test, you want to make sure you're picking an area where there's no wind and you can start the same place every time. And when you test, you want to try and throw the same way each time, or at least for several throws in a row. Because one of the things you change before changing your plane, you might want to try changing your grip. Do 3 throws holding from the middle of the plane. You can do 3 from the front, maybe 3 from the back. Then once you find out what works best, then you can use that for the rest of your test. I usually tell students that you want to test at least 3 throws before change your airplane, because you'll have 2 that'll probably go the same and 1 that might go different. If they all land near the same spot, that's great. That means you're doing the same thing each time. When it comes to making changes, you want to make sure you're only changing one thing at a time. That way you're following the scientific method. You're controlling your variables. There are lots of videos on YouTube and other places about the scientific method, so you can check that on your own. But the short version is, you're changing one thing at a time and keeping track of its effects, because if you change 2 things, you don't know if one helped, the other hurt, they both helped, both hurt, because they might be canceling each other out. So you need to just change one thing at a time while you're testing. The goal of a good experiment is to get consistent results. That means your results are repeatable and about the same each time. Your airplanes don't have to land in the exact same spot, but you know, if you're throwing the same airplane over and over from the same place, it's landing in about the same spot. You're keeping everything consistent. After you tested your planes, you can start making your adjustments. This is where you might want to make changes to the wings, underneath, any adjustment, but I recommend only making one change at a time. Now the Fold and Fly has some great recommendations for changes you can make, but some simple ones that I like are making some little cuts on the bottom of the wings that you can fold up or down to get different results. Or some people like to bend the wing tips up. So I'm going to angle one just slightly up and the other slightly down, and it should make it spiral like a football. If you don't hit the camera. Another change on the bottom, you could make a cut, try to line that up, and you can push that through to give yourself a tail fin. You can actually do that anywhere along the length of your plane, but I find you get the best results by putting that in the back. I've seen people have loops and different designs up front. Test the new design several times, see if it's better or worse, before making any more adjustments. Remember to keep track. The difference between science and playing is writing down what you do. Using slow motion. Now, something fun and helpful you can do is record your experiments in slow motion. That way you can see exactly what's going wrong, what's happening at different points. The Mythbusters, if you remember them, use slow motion a lot. They actually use a high-speed camera to record faster, so when they played it back, it can't play it back slower. We'll talk about how that works another day. If you're using your iPad, you'll have to leave iMovie if you're filming and just go to the regular camera, and the slow motion feature should be on the right. You see, when the Mythbusters test, they put a background with different colored stripes. That's to help them measure how fast things are happening. By having different sized stripes, they can measure at different frame rates or different ways they've recorded. With your iPad, you don't have much options. But it helps out in a variety of experiments, even in rocket cars. I'll just leave this here for now. You don't need to set up your background quite as much as the Mythbusters. You can improvise with a block wall or just a plain background so that the action of your plane is easy to see. If you do use any marks in the background, just make sure they're consistent and all the same size and distance apart. It's flying time. I'm going to slow the film down to 1/3 speed. First regular, then 1/3 speed. You can slow it down even more, but I want to keep this video under 15 minutes. Now that you can watch it in slow motion and track your result, you're ready to repeat the process. By tracking your progress and making small improvements, you'll be breaking records in no time. That's it for today. Feel free to let me know which design worked best for you.